Hello, everybody, and welcome to Project Podcast, a brand new show where we sit down with someone and talk about their projects, past, present, and future. Really annoyed. I spent so long on that intro, and I still couldn't figure out a P word for fucking future. Anyway, today we're here with the Rat Man.
Yeah, Ratman here.
What's going on, dude?
Not a whole lot. Just settling in after a really long move to Virginia, so everything's all good. Everything's all finally settled down. So I'm glad to be here on the podcast.
Oh yeah, great. This is the first episode, but I don't really feel the need to explain anything. I'm pretty sure I got the basic gist of it there. So, let's hop right into it. I got a whole host of questions over here, and I'm trying to pick one. Here we go. Here's a good one. What got you started in streaming? 'Cause you're a stream guy. You do streams.
Yeah, I used to do streaming. As just a hobbyist. I went by another name on YouTube named Ranson before I changed things around. Got a new name that I think would fit the mascot a little bit better. Streaming. I wanted to get into streaming for a long time, and I just finally kind of just buckled down and put it back in August of this year. So that's how that goes. That's pretty much how that went.
Wow, only August? That seems pretty darn close.
Yeah, no, it did just happen, but I've had the stream software on my computer since maybe 2016, 2017, but I didn't get to doing it until then.
Yeah. That makes sense. Because streaming's hard, dude. It's there's so many technical things you gotta just make sure are exactly right. It's like a bunch of dominoes you gotta set up and hope you don't end up knocking the whole fucking thing over.
Yep, no, it's there's a lot of little things to consider when you're setting up a stream like that. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So, you said you only started in August, but, have you noticed any, evolution in the streams? Have things, shifted or changed or anything in that time?
I've been moving around since the beginning of the stream. I was just a stream for 3 hours. The schedule's changed a couple of times already. I started around late evenings, about 7 o'clock or so. Then we moved all the way back till 3 p.m. Right. The length has kind of varied anytime between 2 to 5 hours. And I've been adjusting to make them a little bit longer as time went by. But mostly it's just what we stream and what the content is. I was originally, if you believe it, was originally a legend streamer, but then I more enjoyed doing what is it called, variety streams, right? And then messing around with RPGs and such. So that's just
Right. So you're a League of Legends streamer? Jesus.
I was considering it.
I was about to say.
Yeah, that's well beyond mine. That's behind what is it called? What we did with that's well beyond what we did in this year. Back in August, I started with some RPGs, but I'm talking about back in 2017. The few times that I streamed, you would have seen League of Legends on the channel, but that's pretty much.
Yeah, League's I didn't intend to get on this, but let's hop on a tangent real quick. League is as a game, it's just weird to me because everybody who plays it hates it that I've met. It's it's a very contention. There's a lot of tension and mixed opinions on the game as a whole, even from people who avidly enjoy it.
Oh yeah, no, I would have I played consistently for maybe 2 years or something like that, and I hated every second of it. And then that entire mess was just a very big surprise.
Yeah.
Generally, I think generally just how the game's set up. As far as that goes, the game itself is competitive, obviously, right? As far as how things is meant to be played, meant to be very, I don't want to say often, but it's meant to be to finish a ordeal.
Yeah.
So stress can be a thing. You can get really stressed out on League of Legends. I think that's something that people don't quite pay attention to. Legends is it's a competitive game. Online multiplayer, online games, despite you might be having fun, is stressful. So everyone who's just I think the default outlet for that is just, man, I fucking hate League of Legends. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Um. It's like a drug addiction. That's what it reminds me of. Listening to people who've like recovered from addictions, like when they talk about how I used to play League, and I'm like, oh god, here we go.
I used to play League. Now the shakes just stopped. No, it's stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. My family abandoned me after year 3.
Yeah, that sounds alright. Just I don't know how to didn't know how to handle myself after I quit.
6 months League sober.
God, someone needs to make that like one of those little enamel pens that you have on your keychain.
Yeah, dude. Um, well, moving right along here from the whole League thing. How? Well, yeah, that's kind of involved though. You mentioned something like this. How do you pick games to stream? Like, how do you just like? Do you just find one and you're like, that looks like it'd make for an entertaining stream, or is there like a process on your end, or?
There is a little bit of a process when you're making a stream. I am. It takes a little bit of time to figure out exactly what you want in a stream. Obviously, you want something a little bit watchable. Audience interaction is important. Something that you don't necessarily have to have your full attention on. If you're a streamer that likes to pay attention to the audience and chat with them back and forth like that, um, has enough going on that you can do active commentary is important. When I'm doing variety streams, I've got I think everyone at this point has a Steam library that's numbering in the 300s or 400s right now because of Steam sales and such. But essentially, I'll consider what I want to stream that day and what I'm in the mood for, right? And then I'll narrow it down to a set of games that I know I can kind of half pay attention to and still be somewhat competent at. Good examples would be like, God, what's the name of it? Games like Terraria or like Skyrim, Fallout 4 are good examples. RPGs tend to be bursts of a lot to do and then some downtime. So you do get a nice back and forth. Recently, I started playing Universe Sim, and that was actually kind of a sleeper hit because it has some very intense Twitch integration. So that's always something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I heard about that stream. I didn't get a chance to show up. What was that like?
It was actually kind of neat. The game itself is God game. It's in the same vein as Black and White. If people are familiar with that kind of game, it's not quite a city builder, right? Mainly because what you're really focused on is not the characters around you, not like building the cities themselves and just letting people do it, but the little nuggets they're called in Universe Sim actually have to do the construction, and you have to sort of appease them and kind of push them towards that. The Twitch integration actually allows viewers to queue up nuggets to be named after them, right? And to have some sort of influence over those nuggets. So, like, as an example, Maybold, who's always in the chat, goes ahead and throughout the entire time, as soon as she got 50 points, there's points that accrue over time. As soon as she got 50 points, she would send her nugget to set something on fire. So that was great.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like the connection or what, but like you seem like you're like abruptly stopping at the end of a sentence, like.
Oh yeah, no, I've got push to talk on, just in case
Ah.
background noises and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's no problem. But so what are you doing like currently stream wise? I know I've been in and out, but like just as a general, what's been up?
Well, we're considering. We just finished Ori and the Blind Forest as a part of a big um, stream. Like that was our big story stream for the longest time. Like for the past like maybe week and a half, we've been playing that. Um, and the next time we play, I tend to have at least one game that I'll kind of focus on for like a couple of streams, right? To kind of try to knock down the story or whatever. And I'm thinking we're going to be doing another RPG. And I'm looking at maybe Skyrim, maybe Fallout 4, maybe New Vegas. Outer Worlds recently came out, and that's been actually really entertaining to play on the side. And it would be neat to go through the story mode as the entire thing. The aesthetic of Outer Worlds is interesting and it vibes with me. So I think that's going to be an interesting thing to put into. But uh, at the end of the day, what we're really going to do is we're going to put into um, we're going to put do like a poll on Twitter and see how that goes and see which one gets picked.
Right, right. Um, like you were saying, Outer Worlds does look really good. Like that looks mega good. Like
I would strongly recommend it if you find it bumbling around at a price that you want to pick it up. It's a very good first person. Maybe a little bit watered down. I feel like it may, at least in the early game, it feels a little bit more like a watered down New Vegas, but that's not necessarily a bad thing with how big New Vegas was. Team Obsidian is definitely doing what they should do in this sense. The game itself is just it's beautiful and the voice acting's great, so it's worth taking a look at.
yeah. I mean, I like it. Basically, just looks like Obsidian was just done with Bethesda and their shit, and was like, you know what? Fuck it, we'll make our own Fallout. And honestly, they look like they've done a good job of it.
No, sounds about right. I think they got well. I know what happened is that Bethesda technically doesn't own New Vegas, right? And
Yeah.
they sort of cut ties with Obsidian. There was a little bit of a legal battle, but as far as New Vegas is concerned, New Vegas is still under Obsidian.
Right.
Well, it's basically distributed. If you're going to buy it, you're going to buy it from Bethesda, right? And so there's a little bit of a back and forth on that one, but um, I'm not entirely sure the whole nitty gritty. It's good to see Obsidian making a game that is very much on their level of expertise. I'd like for them to maybe revisit the old Fallout, like how not the old Fallout, but the setup for the Fallout games were back in 1 and 2, and make more top-down Fallout RPG, that kind of thing. There's been a few people making those sort of games now, but I'd like to see Obsidian try to do that.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be a nice stab in the dark. While we're on video games though, do you got anything you're looking at, like just not even like specifically to stream, but just in general that looks good that you want to take a good look at? Good old gander.
I want to get back into Apex. That's I've been itching to do competitive gaming again, right? And it's been narrowing down between Fortnite, Apex, and what is it called? Mortal Kombat. I have Soul Calibur 6, but I don't have that same sort of pull that I used to for Soul Calibur. So there's a couple of things floating around. I'll have to see. Looks pretty good.
Right. It seems like Soul Calibur 6 just kind of exploded for like a month or two and then was just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah, it really didn't go where it needed to be, which is I'm kind of surprised about. Soul Calibur is usually a very strong title, but it didn't pan out the way that we were expecting it to. It seems a little bit more. It doesn't feel as intricate as the old Soul Calibur titles were. I'm someone who's played Soul Calibur since Soul Edge. I had a break after the GameCube release, and then of Soul Calibur. I think it was Soul Calibur 4. I didn't catch 5, and then 6 is just like, oh, what happened to the series? But it's fun enough. It is definitely a Soul Calibur game. So
Yeah, I'm not really a big fighting game guy, and like, so Soul Calibur 6 is the only game I really have any experience or connection with. But like, it seems kind of divisive and gimmicky in a way. I don't know.
I mean, the system with the weapons are absolutely a gimmicky kind of thing. I think that was the big complaint when it just came out.
Yeah, that's just one thing that like game development studios, particularly like Nintendo and like their second party little group they have, don't seem to get is the fact that if you base your game or your console or anything around a gimmick, it's gonna die. Like it's not gonna last a terribly long time.
That's it. Yeah, I think it's gonna have to take some passes. I think the big problem with Soul Calibur right now is balance. And the problem with that is the balance of the game, right? Right now, obviously, there's a few character classes or character types that are better than others. I can't remember the guy's name, but the rapier, his attacks are way too fast to counter in a lot of characters, and so they're if you run into an early game, right? If you're not entirely sure how to handle it, that character itself can be the reason why someone may quit the game. It's just not as it's way difficult to go ahead and that sort of like ceiling, right? Versus like a good Mitsurugi player, a good I can't even remember his name, rapier character will absolutely dominate a lower tier player without much effort.
Yeah, that seems to be like a problem with most fighting games, from what I can see, is just the fact that like balance is always an issue, and I don't think that's ever not gonna be an issue.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. The balance is always going to be an issue for a lot of online games. Some companies have bigger teams to handle balance than others. Mortal Kombat's doing a really good job at balancing their characters out. Even Terminator, who was expected to be really difficult, right, to combo against, uh, that isn't as much of an issue nowadays. I remember way back when, not to get off into a tangent, but I remember way back when there was a Smoke was an unlockable character in Mortal Kombat. The first 3D one, I think, was for Carnage or something like that. And Smoke had multiple ways how to infinite combo someone from full dead, and there was absolutely nothing one could do about it, which actually I think banned in most. But these days, fighting games are a little bit more balanced. It just depends on the size of the game and the dev team.
Yeah, the only thing I know about Mortal Kombat really is like I love Mortal Kombat for one reason: the fact that like most of these characters are just like super like cool or like unique in a way, and then Johnny Cage is just a fucking dude.
He's just a guy, and the amount of guy he is in 11 is through the roof right now. Because there's
Yeah.
two flavors of Johnny Cage in the new one. The old Johnny Cage, which makes him an asshole and super cocky and stuff like that. And the new one, and he's just a dad, and it's great.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just glad that all these characters can exist in the same universe, no matter like the lack of sense it may make at times.
I think that's a big thing about that. It's you don't need sense, and like Mortal Kombat story is good. It's lack. It's what is it? Way off the charts sometimes, but they do mash a lot of really interesting character and archetypes together, and it seems to just flow. So that's good. That's great. Big fan of all the monster characters in that game. Brock is an example, but yeah, they're all really neat.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm not trying to knock it. I mean, it seems like it's got a good thing going that works, and I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like you don't need a bridge if you can walk across the gap. It's not a problem. Um, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, no, but definitely no one's knocking Mortal Kombat, especially with the success that it's gained recently. It is the premier game right now, other than like Dragon Ball Fighter Z. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm not like I said. I'm not really a big fighting game guy. For the most part, like I just stick to Smash Brothers because I hardly ever leave my Nintendo comfort zone, if I'm being honest. But Yeah, Smash is a good game. The people who play Smash not so good, but they can't all be winners.
Nah, of course. Smash is still very good.
Oh yeah, Smash is definitely good. Cause Smash is good because they're competitive players, but there's also just the factor of, hey, you want to sit down and play some Smash for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's definitely a casual game, and I think Smash has definitely got the hands on the casual market for a very very long time.
Oh yeah. Competitive games that are all like competitive games as a whole always kind of like they interest me in a weird way because it's like there's always this unique community no matter the game, no matter like what it is. There's always this camaraderie about like especially with like smaller competitive games. There's always like this group effort and like camaraderie to it that's always just great. And if I could fit another always in this sentence, that'd be great.
Oh yeah, no. At the end of the day, competitive gaming still kind of stems from that fight between two siblings on a couch somewhere, or more than that. It's great to do the dual screen. Remember that most things came from that couch co-op that we used to play. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's great.
Right. Let's scoot back over to the topic at hand, and
Yeah.
I wanna ask you about like community stuff. How do you like cultivate such a great community of people? Like I heard you at the end of the stream talking about people and like things that they've done for the stream or things that they do on the side, just stuff like that. How do you how do you manage that? How do you cultivate such a great group of people like
You need a. It's mainly just reaching out, right? Um, finding people who you vibe with, people who are like who make music, or there's a lot of. I guess there's a lot of content creators out there that do just fantastic work, and everyone likes to get a little bit of recognition and stuff like that. So I'm always been about that recognition. I love talking about what people do. I'm very excited about what people's like little projects are. Like we got someone who's one of our streamers in the chat is a someone who's making a podcast. He's on the third episode that's coming out soon. We've got music producers, we've got artists in the chat, and then it's just finding someone who I'm like, oh hey, I guess the real like hurdle that you can get over is that first step, finding out how to reach out to somebody that you catch their attention to, and then after that, it's just kind of growing a relationship and uh, excuse me. Eventually, you just see people coming through and chatting and saying hello and such like that. And then just viewers themselves, they like recognition as well. Saying hello to someone who comes in, remembering those people. Um, I used to do a lot of people work beforehand, and so I'm applying a lot of those old skills to growing the audience and growing the community.
that? Right, right. Just out of curiosity, if you don't mind talking about it, what did you do like pre-streaming? I know you said you did a little bit of YouTube stuff here and there. What did you have going on like before streaming was really a part of everything here?
I tried to do vlogging, if you imagine it. I was once upon a time on YouTube. I went by a name called Rants On, and it was mainly a vlogging channel. I would kind of critique other people. I remember like one of the few videos that got a little bit of attention was a video where I didn't quite make fun of a vegan, but they did. There's someone who's just straight up out of her mind,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And so I'm like, this person's crazy. And then I brought up another video who. Another person who's doing the vegan thing in a more like reasonable manner and like try to back up their facts with like, oh, the arguments that made sense, versus this other woman who's like, oh yeah, I've got a. I realized today I've got elf ears, and I'm like, oh, that's a little weird, girl. So that was like one of those few videos. It moved on to I like gaming, so I tried to get into Let's Plays and stuff like that, but I really didn't finish a lot of the projects that I wanted to do on there. Eventually, it just basically moved into I took a break and then I came back and I decided that the Rants on moniker didn't fit anymore. So I moved on to trying to get like a mascot, and that was a Salty Rat, and that's pretty much just that.
Hmm. That's an interesting thing you mentioned there about like poking fun at people who are just absolutely batshit. Um, and I love doing that in the privacy of my own home, just with friends. Like, look at this person; they're out of their mind. Are you kidding me? And then like, I was like, that'd make for a funny video. I should do that. And then I did that, and like afterwards, I just kind of felt dirty about it. You just kind of feel disgusting. Like, did I really just like, especially like considering at the time I had like 60 subs, and like the guy I was making fun of didn't like wasn't really anybody. Like he had like one subscriber that was probably like his mom or something, or him on an alt. But like I felt really bad about it, and then I I just couldn't do that kind of video anymore.
Oh, it's difficult. You definitely have to kind of like balance the poking fun of in a way that doesn't make you feel just dirty or awful. I didn't feel dirty about the video that I made, right? Um, but I can definitely understand that I treaded a very thin line between that. So yeah, I get it. I completely understand.
Yeah. I also ended up making. I like this is why I can't make fun of people because I ended up making friends with the guy. Because
I mean, well, yeah, yeah.
like he was a local dude that like I had heard about, and somebody was like, he has a YouTube channel, right? And I'm like, oh, I'll go look at that. And then it turned out he was freaking crazy. But then
Absolutely that shit.
I did more videos about the guy. I did more videos about the guy, still poking fun at him, but it became less about this guy's crazy and more about just like picking between friends, just kind of the level of just poking fun. Like I can call my friend a fucking idiot, and he knows I don't really mean it.
Yeah, you make friends with him, and then suddenly, bam! Never mind, I can make fun of you all at once.
Now I can make fun of you again. This is great. um, speaking of making fun of people, though,
Yeah,
no,
what up?
yeah, I was gonna do. I felt bad about it before I could even get it out of my mouth. I was gonna do this whole bit where I just like make fun of you for like 5 minutes, and then I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, let's not.
Whatever. You're a coward.
Yeah,
I got you.
yeah. Um, Jesus, how did we do this? I'm like almost out of questions over here already. Thank
And
goodness for these tangents.
We've been blasting through it.
Yeah, dude. So, like, when it comes to like stream content, what is what would be your ideal stream game? Like, if you were to like handcraft a game that would be perfect to stream, what would it be? Like, I know you mentioned some of the factors that go into picking a game earlier, but if you could get like the apex, no pun intended, of all of those, what would come out of that?
That's tough because, like, at one point in time, I thought a really good stream game would be some sort of MMO because we have a lot of people who stream MMOs out there and get a ridiculous amount of viewers. Like, as an example, it still blows my mind that one of the most top rated channels right now is RuneScape. People watch RuneScape Classic for hours, and thousands of people watch the RuneScape Classic for hours. Then you've got like Crandor, I think his name is,
Yeah.
who streams nothing but World of Warcraft or in World of Warcraft Classic, and these guys are big names as far as their communities go. Crandor is, I think, a part of the Yogscast, and I may be wrong about that, but these guys stream MMOs, and so in my head, right, I'd like to say probably some MMO. I'm currently always playing like Final Fantasy 14 as an example is my go-to MMO right now, but it seems that everyone got really excited after Shadowbringers, and then it kind of like petered off, right? And I don't think it has the same sort of like staying power as some of the larger, older MMOs that have a lot more grind to them. The quality of life to Final Fantasy as a player is really high, but there's still only so much content you can go through as if you've already done it, if that makes any sense. I would imagine some sort of competitive game, something in the same vein as, like, say, StarCraft, as an example, would be a really good, like, the top tier streaming game, right? And it seems to be always the one of the top tiers. But any shooter, anything like that. As far as what would go into a game like that, um, honestly, I'm not a game designer. Some sort of stream integration would be great. I'd like to see more games have the ability to project the Twitch chat into the game, right? In
Oh
some way,
yeah.
shape, or form. There's a few games that do that. VR chat is one of them that I imagine. But I think there's a few of them, a few more that will do that as well. But I'm not super sure. But Twitch integration, any game that has like a sufficient amount of Twitch integration, is fantastic stream material. Especially if we're getting into something like what is the name of that game? There's another game that has some really good Twitch integration that I think the interactivity on it is really really good. Give me just a half second.
All right.
Dead Cells. That was the game.
Ah.
Some just that sort of integration, or that sort of integration is outstanding because it puts in a lot of effort into having someone like, as an example, someone can in the chat can be completely in charge of your healing potions, right? And between like stream delay, which can be a little bit of a thing, and like just someone who might not care
Yeah.
about you can just get a straight up asshole in chat, and that's great. That's fantastic. The game's fantastic about that. So yeah, um, I think Path of Exile has a good chance of being top tier stream material very very soon. So yeah.
That's great. That's great. You mentioned VR VR chat somewhere in the middle there. Remember when VR chat was a thing?
Oh yeah, it's still a thing depending on who you ask, but yeah, it's definitely still out there. It's people are still playing it,
Yeah.
and I think people are still streaming it pretty actively. I'm just not
Oh
sure
yeah, dude.
about the. Yeah, I remember.
Like I hear people streaming it every like I occasionally in my YouTube recommended I'll get a clip that happens to be from VR chat and I'll click on it and I'm like this dude get and then I'll notice it's got like a million views on it and I'm like maybe it's just because it got recommended and pushed out and then I'll click on the channel, dude's got like millions of subs, he's like making these like daily or so. It's like how do you, oh, I couldn't do that.
there's there's a lot of tricks with YouTube and stuff like that, and one of the big YouTube tricks is that you're very capable of doing a day of work, right? And making a bunch of 10-minute videos or like a bunch of clips and then putting them out on a timer, right?
Oh
YouTube has the
yeah.
ability to upload a bunch of videos up to that. You basically work one day, but you upload 5 videos a week, right? Which is great. It's absolutely fantastic how that sets up. Um, and so I guess if you get into the right sort of mindset when you're setting things together, then you can absolutely just belt them out.
Yeah, I would assume so. I mean, like it's weird how YouTube's changed over the years, though. 'Cause it's like I've been watching and or creating, well, creating in heavy quotes because I was like fucking like 7, but I've been like on YouTube since like 2006 or so, and like it used to be just hey look, it's like Newgrounds, but you can put videos on it like without needing or wait, you still needed Flash, yeah, but they wouldn't be specifically Flash content, and then it evolved from that into hey, how can we make this a corporate thing?
Yeah, exactly. Um, I wish they would get themselves together. there's a really big mess of character stuff going, not character stuff, but there's a big mess of stuff going on with YouTube right now that I'm disappointed in, and is half the reason why I haven't put anything up there in a long time. It's just that, but I just shrug, and I keep considering maybe I'll get back into it. But yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah, a lot of people are seeing this thing coming in 2020 about like how the U.S. government is like implementing changes to how online content and children go, and I'm like, that's a very finite thing you do there. You have to like, because if you like, I don't blame them, because like there's a lot of stuff on the internet that isn't safe for children, like in the slightest. But at the same time, it like you step too far in one direction, you're gonna piss somebody off, and like it's just not good.
I think that's what really that honestly is something that really frustrates me, actually. Um, God, so one of the things I'm really frustrated about as far as that goes, right? Um, is that we're looking at processing. There's a there's something that really frustrates me is that the Viacom is a big problem right now as far as music and stuff like that goes. There'd be a handful of seconds of some sort of copyrighted music into a video, and the entire video would get flagged, right?
Yeah,
Which is incredibly stupid, right? Um, but I think what's really screwing me up on this entire thing, right, is that we're looking at a excuse me, we're looking at a odd little situation where um, while all that's going on as far as the music goes, the copyright infringement, there's like what are they called? It was the Elsa and Spider-Man videos and all these other videos of just the zaniest nonsense being broadcast directly to kids, and that doesn't seem to vibrate with me, where like someone can use like copyrighted costumes and stuff like that to do some weird zany odd kid stuff, and then they get quite a bit of revenue. But the moment that some tiny part of Soldier Boy plays in the background of a video, the entire video is just gone. So that's a mess.
yeah. I've like when it comes to YouTube stuff, I've kind of like given up on the whole trying not to get flagged thing. At this point, sometimes I attempt to get flagged just to see if it'll happen, because I don't make any money regardless. So
Yeah.
like it doesn't affect me in any way other than, oh, there's a new email about a video that like some corporation's mad at me about.
Angry video. I mean, you can still lose your YouTube channels at the end of the
Yeah, but most of the time it tends to be not even strikes, it's just claims usually.
day.
So
I can
like
see that.
it's not like video takedowns, it's usually just, hey, don't do that. It's like most of the time it's a slap on the wrist. So like it's not awful, but with this thing coming in 2020, like I mentioned, you can mark your channel as adult only. Wrapping back around to the kid stuff, you can mark it as adults only, and while that loses you a bit of revenue, apparently that's going to give you a little more leeway as to what you can say and do without being demonetized.
No, that's good. But
So that seems like an upturn, at least.
yeah, it is. I think that's a step in the right direction, but we're not quite there.
Yeah, like it seems like from watching from a distance, it's very easy to call YouTube's decisions like all the wrong choices. But at the same time, when you really dig in and look into the dumpster fire, you can tell that there is no proper direction that you should head here.
No, it's all burning garbage. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, the only thing I really like about YouTube is like the level of discoverability that it has over Twitch and other platforms. Because like sometimes it's like, hey, I want to see this random dude buy a bunch of stuff off the McDonald's menu from like 2009. That video is gold, by the way.
God.
But like yeah, sometimes stuff like that'll happen, and like I filmed this video of my younger cousin like a few years ago, and I just threw it up on the channel because why not at that point? And that's my highest viewed video. 5 mil, or not 5 mil, but 5K views on that. And I'm like, why? Why is this the thing you choose to push, YouTube?
God, no, there's no rhyme or reason. It's just craziness.
Yeah,
It's insane. No,
yeah.
I'm right with you. That stuff doesn't make any sense to me.
I just feel like now that we're at a point in society where literally anybody can make anything they want, it's a great thing for the everyman, but it's a terrible, terrible thing in other cases because it's like, some people are gonna take that the right way, and like creativity in the wrong hands, though. Well, I mean, it's really a fine line that I'm walking here about the wrong hands, but like creativity like put the wrong place, like now that everyone can make children's content, for example, there's going to be some racy stuff in children's content now more than ever because there's no regulation on it. It's just kind of out there.
It's a weird mess of things. I certainly agree with.
Like I don't really jive with it at all, to be honest. It's super strange. I don't know.
I
It's
agree. I agree. It seems like this huge. We'll see how things go. I think 2020 might be a shift away from all that, but we'll have to see.
right. Cross your fingers, lock your doors, shut your windows.
Hide in the bathtub. Yeah.
Hide your kids, hide your wife. God, that's an old one. Am I old now? Shit.
Yeah, we're old. We're old here.
Oh God. Oh, the back pain and the arthritis. I could feel it already.
What's happening?
Put me in a home.
Put me back. I'm not done. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, that cracked me. But speaking of 2020 though, where do you see yourself in like this time next year?
See, the reflex answer that I have every time anyone says, "What are you going to be here next time next year?" Right? I'm like dead. But what my real reflex answer is, my real answer is probably I want to see, I want to grow the channel and see if I can't continue to kind of raise up a few of the other people around me, artists and stuff like that, looking really cool. But depends how things go. I'll just have to cross my fingers and see how that goes. Maybe put a little bit more attention to how I put out streams, how I put out content. But it's just be it's a work in progress. We'll have to see.
Yeah, dude, everything seems like a work in progress these days. Like it's always like life is just a series of waiting on things to be done or to be like complete. And it never comes. Nothing's ever going to be truly complete, and that's okay. I'm getting into a weird psychological direction here, but what you said about being dead earlier, like I mean, rats have a very limited lifespan. That kind of holds merit.
We got 2 years. That's all we got. Yeah.
Rip. Um, yeah, but like I started streaming probably actually before you because I started in May and then I came back to it in like I think August because that's when I got my new PC. So
Yeah.
like you seem like older and wiser about it. Meanwhile, like we've kind of been doing it the same amount of time.
Yeah, I guess it's there's a lot of information that you can put into as far as like there's a lot of streamers out there. There's a lot of, I don't want to say emulation, but there's a lot of finding out what works and then continuing to do outreach that'll eventually equate to more people watching your streams and things going down and well for you. But eventually you get there, and it's all about that, finding the sweet spot between doing your thing, right, and then also uh, setting things together as far as like getting your community together and such. So yeah, it's a work in progress. You find out what works and what time frames work for you.
Right. I'm actually moving into an apartment sometime next year, and hopefully that'll make things simpler in terms of streaming. So like I have to before I'm gonna stream, and like even before I record this podcast, because my family tends to be super loud, like mega loud, and I'm like,
Yeah.
can we like bring it down from like a 15 to like a 6 for like an hour or two.
But it'll have it as 0. Yeah, but I get you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a douche when I do that though, because I'm like, can everybody be quiet for me? You know, I mean, I don't know. It just feels terrible. But at the end of the day, I guess we're all kind of a little self-centered, so whatever.
I guess the you know that's something that I think is kind of important because you can't not be self-centered. I think it's important to be some measure of self-centered. Because someone who does like the quote unquote noble self-sacrifice between your family and stuff like that just doesn't get good. You're not going to get into a situation where you'll be able to take the steps that you need to grow as a person. So you gotta put your eggs in a basket before you start focusing on other people. If you're not good, you're not gonna be good for someone else. So don't worry about if you're self-centered. You just gotta do your thing.
Right, physician heal thyself, as
Exactly.
some ancient person said, and now we think is extremely wise. Uh, Jeez, where am I
Healers
going from
adjust.
here? Oh yes, you gotta get a Switch, man. Switches are great.
I think there's gonna be a Switch in the house eventually, but yeah, no, that's been on the list. I'm very interested in the new Pokemon game and Smash, and that's pretty much it. And we'll see how.
Oh yeah, dude. If you like a good 3D platformer though, Mario Odyssey's freaking great, dude.
I've been told fantastic things about Mario Odyssey.
It's a little short, honestly, if you're just getting through the game, and then once you finish it, it's like, yeah, there's still a bunch of extra. Like, it feels like half the game is locked behind. Finish the game. I mean, you never really feel limited because you never really realize that's what's coming. But once you're there, it's like the whole game just opens up, and it's great. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of games on Switch like worth streaming and stuff, though. Honestly.
Yeah, pick it up, man.
I'm totally gonna get into that because Mario Maker 2 is fucking fantastic.
I'm glad Mario Maker 2 is halfway as good.
Yeah, but yeah, are things doing well personally, Rat? Are you good?
I like to think I'm good. I'm a little tired, but I think I'm getting back on a right track finally.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're like on a track and everything's going well for you, dude. And I say now that I'm listening back to myself say it out loud, it sounds kind of like I'm not actually glad, but I'm super glad for you, dude.
Yeah, but I hear you. I'm glad you're glad. It took a little bit to get here, but I'm feeling a lot more comfortable with where I'm sitting. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, being in a good position feels great, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been uh, eyeballing. What is it called? It's been weird the last few months, but I'm finally feeling better about where I'm at. So yeah, it's a new area. Things are doing good. So we'll see.
Yeah, and the reason I slip into talking about personal stuff for just a second is to wing it back around to streaming. And I wanted to ask, like, in your personal life, do you feel the same way you do when you're streaming, or like, because with me it's like cameras on, the mic's hot, gotta act, gotta be something. I gotta be like the best possible version of myself, and I'm like way more hyped than I actually ever am. Even right now in this like little interview conversation, like, do you ever get that? Does it feel like a different person when you're streaming rather than when you're just like chilling?
Yeah, no, there's a level of separation between you and your online persona. What the person you put out, you try to be as genuine as possible, of course, and I think it's getting there. I think putting as much of you that you put in, right, um, would probably be a really good option. Like I said, just be genuine with what you do, and I think it'd be a good idea.
Oh yeah, dude. It's less that like I feel like it's less about like I'm not being genuine in front of the camera and more about like I don't like being genuine in front of actual people.
That would be a problem, isn't it?
Cuz that sucks, dude, because every time I don't know, maybe it's the fact that like you grow up in a household where people are like you experiment and people are like no, that's stupid. Stop doing that. Go do a different thing. I don't know. This is becoming more about me than you, so let's slide on back. Like, how's like the rat thing going for you?
What you mean?
Like rats in general have like a stigma that sucks. It absolutely sucks.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, it is fair to say that the Black Plague was a highlight of what we did. Big career change that we did there, but no. No, rats these days are actually really neat. There's a draw to have rats as pets, and they're sociable creatures that like to be around themselves, so it's great.
Yeah.
Um, I guess it just depends on your entire opinion about how things are going, what you're doing in um, as far as like the entire rat persona goes. They're as varied online as there are like in real life. So I'm pretty happy with the persona itself. It's great.
Yeah, dude. How does one like become the? How does one How do how do I phrase this? How do you just run up on life like, yeah, I'm gonna be a rat now?
Yeah, it happens. You like, oh hey, hold on. So I
Like,
guess it's like the I guess one of the things that you do is that you're like, eventually you decide, oh, it originally became, it was meant to be like the, what is it called? It was originally supposed to be some sort of character idea, basically, a mascot for the YouTube channel. Right? And eventually I'm just like, rats are just cool. So.
become one with the rat. One in the
Yeah.
same.
One and the same. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Dude. Like furries interest me, in like a view from the other side of the glass kind of way. Because I don't think I could ever become one. Like, I don't think that's me. But it's nice to see people who are into that and who are a part of that. I don't know. I wouldn't call it a fandom. I would call it a community. Who are a part of that community, and like seeing them just go out and absolutely be 100% of themselves. I think that's really noble and interesting. What do you think, Rat?
No, I mean it's I guess like the bottom line with furries in general is that there's they get a lot of stigma when it comes to that, but at the end of the day, it's really just a something that you're comfortable with putting yourself forward as, right? Maybe you just don't like to be, not everyone wants to put their face on like a Facebook profile and stuff like that. For some people, it's a way to express an idea. Like the other half of the entire persona that I've got on is like this Miami Vice like cities nightlife thing, and it's hard to uh, really put that out when you're not, you don't live in Miami, right? Or you don't have neon all around you. Being able to put out a persona that is that, right, is a lot different. So you make this new, it's kind of like both a character that you play as, and then like a reflection of what you think is cool in general, like what your interests are. So to see people put those personas on character ideas or a something that they're enthusiastic to, there's always something behind a persona that is just less an animal, right, that makes things interesting, right? I guess like Frameshift Shark is a good example, who has a persona around the Elite Dangerous franchise,
Right.
which is cool, but that's the gist of it.
That's great. Wait, so you're telling me you are not an actual rat surrounded by random neon light sources that seemingly come from nowhere? I have been lied to.
Well, hold on.
The
Yeah,
title of the
basically.
episode: ASaltyRat exposed, not actual rat.
No.
No, the truth I was looking for all along. But yeah, that I like that about like the whole. Jesus, I'm terrible at responding to answers to questions, but I like that whole thing you said about like putting things into a general idea and being less about like the person behind it and more about being what you put in front. and like what's out there and like what. Yeah, never mind. I'm getting off on a really long, obscenely long sentence, but yeah, I just that just feels wholesome, dude. Generally
Yeah,
wholesome.
that's how it should be. It's in general, I think that's just we. It's a measure of we all just want to be comfortable, and that's the gist of.
Yeah, everybody just wants to feel okay in their own skin at the end of the day, and I feel like that's really nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, um, Jesus, we've gone down a path here, haven't we?
Yeah, a big path. You don't always get into a. I can't tell you how many. I've been a part of a couple of podcasts, and yeah, no, you never start off. You have an idea, and then it just moves on to whatever. So
Oh
no,
yeah,
this is right. This sounds great.
like I never intended for this full hour to be just about streaming. I really did think like I was planning on, hey, here's like a bunch of tangents that could possibly like this when it's like this kind of freeform podcast thing, you can't really accommodate or like plan around an exact thing because there's going to be a lot of faffing about and there's going to be a lot of goofs and gaffs along the way.
Yeah, faffing's great.
Yeah, absolutely great. Makes for a good podcast.
Yeah, hopefully. Cross your fingers.
Yeah. Hoping people enjoy this. It'll probably be out today, actually, because I got plenty of time left in the day to edit it down a little. At least edit out like the random silences and whatnot.
No, of course, of course.
Yeah, but can I just make mention of the fact, like, while we're right here at the end, that this is something I've been thinking about since like minute 15. Uh, you are amazing at answering questions. Like,
Aw.
I'm not just saying that either, because like I've interviewed a few people, and a lot of the times it's people who are like me. They're like, the thing and that stuff, and like you really know how to like take a question into your arms and walk it down the path of life for like a good minute or two.
You put your foot down. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's just you get into like this mindset where you just go from you can't just answer the question with a flat answer because that's too much dead space. But I get.
yeah. It's like as someone who does interviews on the occasion, this has been an absolute treat, dude. Because I feel like I've learned something. I feel like people listening to this have probably learned a thing or two.
Oh, hopefully.
A few people are probably googling what the hell a Newgrounds is after like the 30-minute mark.
I hope Newgrounds is more popular than that.
Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of felt like an old internet thing. I don't know.
Well, people are still on it, but we're getting there.
Oh yeah, for sure people are still using it, and I feel like it's a great platform. It's just hard to swade through all the stuff to get to the good stuff, which I guess is a problem everywhere to an extent. But yeah, this has been Project Podcast with the Rat Dude.
Yep, it's me.
You got any stuff you want to plug or anything, Rat, before we kick the bucket here?
No, mainly it's just going to be the normal stuff. We're going to be streaming as usual. If you're interested and curious about what I do, follow me on twitch.tv/ASaltyRat, or check me out on Twitter, which is just ASaltyRat, and that's the gist of it. We'll be doing more streaming along.
Yeah, dude. Maybe we'll do a stream at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, yeah, that'd be great actually. Cause I don't really. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for joining me here today, Rat, for this little adventure into what you do as a whole and like things of interest in that regard.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Be sure to do all the typical stuff that you would do with the podcast episode, like listen to it and or like the thing. Well, clearly, if you're at this point, you've listened to it. But like, yeah, just enjoy the podcast episode, and if you like it, let me know, because I want to do more of these. These are great. Might even have Rad on again because this is amazing.
Yeah. I'll have to do more interesting things. Oh no.
Yeah, go specifically for the podcast.
No, I have to lead an interesting life now. Someone expects me to do stuff.
Oh God, expectations, no. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed our little soiree here, I guess. And I am gonna end the episode. So yeah, that's that. See you later.
Goodbye.